You are now listening to Alice.
Chapter 5. The park was quiet that evening, the sun dipping low behind the line of palm trees that circled the walking path. The city was still alive with its usual buzz. Horns in the distance, voices carried by the wind. The rush of life that never seemed to slow, but here, beneath the canopy of branches, the world felt muted. Alice sat on a wooden bench near the fountain, the mask pressed tightly against her face. It wasn't just the physical mask she wore, but the invisible one she had been forced to build since childhood. The weight of her family's rejection had followed her all her life, but tonight it seemed heavier than usual. Just hours earlier, her parents had dismissed her once again. Richard and Teresa Norman had insisted she abandon her company and gaming and return to the family business. "Stop embarrassing us with your little hobby," her mother had said coldly. "A real Norman manages Norman Enterprise, not silly games on computers." Her sisters, gathered around the dining table, had laughed openly. Arabella with her sharp smile, Nova with her mocking tone, and Crystal with her feigned pity. "Who would ever take you seriously, Alice?" Nova had said. "You hide your face like some freak. No one even knows who you are." Their voices still echoed in Alice's head. She had fought back tears long enough to excuse herself, but once outside, she couldn't stop them. She had walked aimlessly until she reached the park, and now, alone, she let the pain spill out, tears trailing silently beneath her mask. The fountain gurgled beside her, the sound mingling with the soft rustle of leaves. Her chest tightened as she whispered, more to herself than anyone, "Why can't they just let me be? Why isn't what I've built enough?" She didn't expect an answer. She didn't expect anyone to care. But then a voice came from the bench beside her. "You don't have to explain yourself to people who refuse to see you." Alice stiffened, startled. She hadn't noticed someone sitting down. She turned, wiping quickly at her cheeks. Though the mask hid most of her face, the man beside her was quiet, composed. He wore a dark blazer over a white shirt, a casual yet refined look, his posture relaxed as if he belonged there. His eyes, sharp yet kind, watched her with a calm she didn't understand. He wasn't staring the way others did when they saw her mask. He wasn't judging. He was just present. "I'm sorry," Alice muttered, adjusting her glasses nervously. "I didn't realize anyone was here. I'll leave." The man shook his head. "You don't have to." His voice was deep, steady. "Sometimes it's easier when someone just listens." Alice hesitated, torn between her instinct to guard herself and the strange comfort in his tone. She wasn't used to strangers offering kindness. Most people either ignored her or mocked her. Still, something inside her cracked open. For a long moment, she sat in silence, her hands trembling slightly in her lap. Then the words spilled out, hesitant at first, then rushing like water breaking through a dam. She told him about her family, about the way her sisters had always belittled her. She explained how her parents never saw value in her dreams, how they wanted her to bury herself in a company she didn't love, just so she could fit into their definition of what was worthwhile. "I started in gaming because I wanted something of my own," Alice said, her voice raw. "Something no one could take away from me. And it worked. People love the games. They play them everywhere. I should feel proud, shouldn't I?" Her throat tightened, and she shook her head. "But no matter how far I get, they still treat me like the girl who was never good enough. They don't see the work, the success. They just see this." She gestured to her mask, her curls tucked back in a loose ponytail, her mismatched eyes hidden behind tinted lenses. The man listened without interrupting. His gaze never left hers, steady and unwavering, as if every word she said mattered. Alice's voice dropped lower. "I thought once I built something of my own, once I proved them wrong, I wouldn't care anymore. But I do. I still do. Every word cuts me like I'm a child again." Standing in their shadows, her chest rose and fell sharply, and she leaned forward, burying her face in her hands. "I just don't know how much longer I can keep fighting like this." For a few seconds, silence hung between them, filled only by the sound of the fountain. Then the man spoke. Quiet but firm. I will help you. Alice lifted her head slowly, her breath catching. His words weren't pitying, weren't dismissive. They were a promise, strong and certain. Her eyes widened behind her glasses. Why? Because no one should carry that kind of weight alone, he replied. And because I can see you're stronger than you think. You just need someone to stand beside you. Something in Alice's chest stirred, a fragile spark she hadn't felt in years. Part of her wanted to believe him, to cling to that steady voice and the comfort it offered. But another part recoiled, afraid of promises, afraid of being abandoned again. She shook her head slightly. You don't even know me. A small smile tugged at his lips. Maybe not yet, but I know enough. Alice studied him, unsure what to make of the stranger. His presence felt familiar somehow, though she couldn't place why. His confidence was quiet, not arrogant, and his eyes carried a warmth that unsettled her defenses. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel invisible, but she also didn't notice the way his gaze lingered on her. Soft with recognition she couldn't see, because the stranger wasn't a stranger at all. Behind the polished suit and the confident bearing was Ethan, the same boy who once sat beside her in high school hallways, who had eaten lunch with her when no one else would, who had promised he would always be there. But now, Ethan was not the chubby boy with glasses and braces. He was a man, tall, broad-shouldered, his jaw sharp where baby fat used to be. His presence carried authority. His name was already powerful in the world of oil and gas, and yet, sitting beside Alice, watching her struggle with the scars her family left behind, Ethan felt the same ache he had years ago when she defended him against bullies. He wanted to tell her everything, that he was the same boy she once saved, that he had never forgotten her, that he had come back, not as a stranger, but as someone who had always carried her in his heart. But he didn't, not yet, because he saw the fear in her eyes, the walls she had built to protect herself. If he revealed the truth now, she might push him away before he had the chance to prove himself again. So he sat quietly, keeping his identity hidden, even as his heart beat harder with the weight of secrets. And Alice, unaware of who he really was, allowed herself to believe, just for one fragile moment, that maybe, just maybe, this stranger meant his promise.